Development Commission on this, the 13th day of September of 2021. Can I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Hopper,
I am here, finally.
Mr. Campbell,
Here.
Mr. Harris,
Present.
Mr. Hoover,
Here.
Mr. Moan.
Here.
Non-voting advisor, Mr. Alexander. Appears to be absent.
Okay. We do have a quorum. Is there a motion to approve our minutes from our August 10th meeting?
I'll move. I'll second.
All right.
Harris
I
second.
think I heard Mr. Hoover and Mr. Harris second.
Right.
Okay. I don't know. We are under an emergency still, so I don't know if we need a roll call or not. Stephen, do we?
You do.
Okay, roll call then.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Hopper,
Aye.
Mr. Hoover,
Aye.
Mr. Moan.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, minutes are approved 5-0. New business, resolution 2112, a resolution approving an amended statement of benefits, real estate improvement, Form SB1 for real property for certain real property located within the East Side Economic Development Area, the Shear GW4 LLC.
And just for the record, the resolution number, though it is stated on the agenda as 21-12, it is actually 2021-12, which is consistent with our normal protocol.
2021. Okay. We'll need a new cover sheet for this then.
I think the actual
that was-
resolution has the correct numbering format. So that should not have to change on the actual resolution itself.
Just the agenda looks like it might be off.
No, the official copy I have has resolution 2021-12.
And that would be correct, right?
Okay, that's correct.
Yes.
Okay. Well, my agenda also says resolution 21-12. That's both correct?
Well, and that's different.
No, your agenda is incorrect. The agenda should say 2021-12.
Okay.
That's our number
Okay.
convention.
Okay.
So the resolution's correct.
All right, moving on. I'm sure somebody wants to talk about this probably.
Mr. Stone is here.
All right.
Good afternoon. So somewhat of an interesting event here. So we have the city, which is kind of made up of the redevelopment commission, who makes a kind of a formal recommendation of these abatements, and ultimately city council as the approval body. We were actually reached out to the city's mayor's office, was reached out to a few months back from a potential tenant of a portion of this building. So Shear GW4 is the landlord in this case. Approximately 47% of the building is intended to be leased by this occupant, by this party, and which we're not able to disclose publicly this evening. But ultimately, as part of that entity choosing this location, they did not want to participate in the tax benefits of this. So we entered into a calculation using their initial abatement schedule to estimate how much of the value they were receiving over the first 5 years of their lease. So that amount has been calculated based on their original SB1 estimates, and essentially they are entering in process as approved by the RDC and the Common Council, effectively to buy out that tax savings for the first 5 years of abatement. In order to progress to that lump sum pilot advance payment, that as just kind of common practice, the RDC, because this is located in the TIP district, will ultimately initially make a recommendation with regards to the abatement. They are requesting an amendment of their original SB1 to reduce the total job commitment of the entire building to reflect the adjustment in the portion that's being essentially carved out, if you will, or excluded from future compliance findings. Happy to do my best to answer any other questions. There's no change to the hourly. There's actually no change to the gross building square footage. The only change that's been made on the revised SB1, the original one you have seen, is the job count is actually reduced. Originally, I think at 34, I believe, off memory, to down to the revised 19 full-time jobs. And that's intended to adjust for the 42% of the gross building that's going to be leased to this party that does not want to be in tax incentivized space.
All right. Any questions for Adam?
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Thanks, Adam. All right. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that.
Lost. Mr. Campbell, thank you, sir. Is there a second?
I'll second, David, but I want to,
Mr.
for purposes of discussion, I want to ask our council a
Yeah.
question. Is that okay?
Go right ahead. Yep, go right ahead.
Is this all within the confines of the agreements that we have passed? Is this all permissible?
One, it is permissible. Two, it's an unusual situation. I have had a discussion with Adam concerning more of the details of it. And from my information that he shared with me, this would only be a benefit to the city and the redevelopers. And the resolution is only a recommendation. It's not binding on the city, and it's ultimately going to be the council that makes the final decision as to whether to move forward with the amendment and what the terms of the abatement modification, if you want to call it that, will be.
Or not? Okay, thanks, Dave.
No problem. Any other questions? All right, hearing none, roll call.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Hopper,
Aye.
Mr. Hoover,
Aye.
Mr. Moan,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell.
Aye.
Thank you.
The motion is approved 5-0. No old business that I see. Capital project report, Market Plaza Street improvements, consideration of PSA with GAI Consultants.
This is the second kind of reading essentially, because it's over $100,000. In fact, it's not to exceed $201,200. And this is to create a design within the current Market Plaza right of way, which is 50 feet across, to bring sidewalks and hopefully some drainage improvement and maybe a little softening to get people essentially from Old City Park in Madison up over ultimately to Lincoln Street. Then one of the goals of this commission, and even well before started kind of some of these master plans, 2014 to 2016, to get people between the downtown parks, primarily City Center, Old City, where the amphitheater is, Craig Parks, or that whole complex, more easily and safely, whether that can be done by the creek right away or actually road right away. And so this would design that project over the next several months with an opportunity to do a streetscape project on that small section of road in Market Plaza and connect that last park, and ultimately people, from Giacomo's or the coffee shop there trying to get around rather than walking the middle of the road. Payable through the central and east TIF, whatever the controller teams and the financial advisor team most pertinent.
Thanks, Kevin. Any questions from commission members? All right, hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Hoover. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Campbell. Thank you, sirs. May I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Hopper,
Aye.
Mr. Hoover,
Aye.
Mr. Moan,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. Harris.
Aye.
Thank you.
Motion is approved 5-0. Next up, Madison Avenue Main Street Madison Avenue Streetscape Project, consideration of reimbursable agreement.
Sure, this is something that the city's actually been working on for a couple years. You know, we have a whole streetscape project designed for this area on Main Street. But one of the challenge is getting rid of it's a mess, quite frankly, of the Duke and AT&T poles that provide overhead service on Main Street. And this does that. So we worked with Duke over a long time, a lot of property owners, created a plan, worked with AT&T. And this essentially removes the overhead service from Meridian back over to Madison. Gets it out of Main Street off those sidewalks. So we can actually do a project once this gets done. It's if you look up, it's a little scary, the amount of wires that are just ran everywhere, but they figured it out. In the packet, you can see there's actually a diagram from Duke that's relatively complicated that involves all the rerouting of various poles. I think it involves basically 10 poles, or 11 poles, north of 12 poles, actually. See, I don't even, north and south of Main Street. And gets rid of those overhead power lines or reroutes them behind the building. And the reimbursable agreement on that is, I believe, $30,847.63. Very specific. Through Duke Energy to relocate those assets and obtain the easement through some of those private properties. So,
Right.
and the council approved this and utilize a central TIF to pay for it.
Is this all on Main Street between Madison and?
Meridian, correct. The poles jump from the south side to over people's yards on the north side there around the Baptist church, but correct, yes.
Okay.
It either takes the service and feeds it to it from the back of the businesses, like Reverie and things, or underground for those houses between the Presbyterian church and Meridian.
Okay.
How soon will this take place? Is there a time frame?
I hope as soon as possible, but we kind of work at Duke's pace, and who knows how many hurricanes, winter storms, et cetera, could happen between now and then. So I'll hope as soon as possible.
All right. Any more questions for Kevin? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
Harris motion.
Second.
Mr. Harris, second by Mr. Moan. All right, any further discussion? All right, hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Hoover,
Aye.
Mr. Moan,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Hopper.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, the agreement is approved 5-0.
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, next up, financial report, monthly financial report. I assume this is Adam again. I'm just guessing.
You got it. Yes, sir. Thank you.
right.
Really just wanted to see with regards to the monthly financial report, if there were any specific questions updated as of the end of August. I included your general fund budget as well as the TIF increment. Obviously, through the year, we're still waiting on the November, December TIF settlements. So managing cash at this point is what we're working on. One asterisk with the financial report in preparation of your next meeting. We've had some conversations. I've worked with Mr. Watson on this as well. We're preparing to have the TIP appropriations for 2022 presented at your next meeting. And at the same time, we'll be in the same meeting likely presenting the statutory required long-term financial plan presentation as well. That's the meeting that will make sure it's available and publicized and noticed for all the overlapping taxing units and that's per Indiana Code 36.725.8. So that presentation will include the RDC budget, the long-term plan, and an update on the impact on the units. So that'll all be presented here, likely recorded, but ultimately made available, shared with the units as necessary. With regards to the TIP appropriations, we're using the same methodology. It's essentially ending forecasted cash balance plus expected TIP next year. And we'll work through that procedure. If there are any other questions, I'm happy to take them on the financial report. Otherwise, on the next item as well.
Any questions for Adam?
Need to take any action on that?
No.
So the next item I have is we have received the annual report based on the FedEx Economic Development Project Agreement that was received and confirmed in hand, so they are compliant on that. We've also had communication with FedEx representatives. Our firm, City Legal, as well as Mr. Watson's firm have all been in communication regarding their certification filings. And we've actually been in conversations with their first claim as well. So there were some conditions that needed to be met before that initial draw of their incentive would be made available. Actually fully expected a claim on this docket, we did not get that. So we are just waiting on some final invoicing information from them, site visit by city staff, and ultimately approval by the city finance department. So we would expect and forecast that either your October or November meeting, you would see that initial claim. What I would say is based on city staff recommendation and review of what has been submitted to date, we would we believe that they are in substantial compliance with the initial first request. Their incentive, their project agreement again was for a certain number of jobs and an investment in personal property by date certain. And it was a total gross incentive of $564,030. And their initial claim window was between May 1st, 2021 and December 31st, 2023. To date, $0 has been paid out against that incentive. It's encumbered against the east side allocation area, or east side surplus, I should say, cash balance. That incentive was pledged in 2 tranches. So phase 1 was based on a certain amount of business personal property being invested in the location. Based on the preliminary filings and reports that they have shared, we believe that has been met with the condition of they haven't actually invoiced it and we haven't done the field visits to verify. Assuming those conditions are met, claims approved, we would anticipate 50% of that initial incentive would be potentially awarded, which would value out at $282,015. The next incentive is based on hiring attainment and would not be potentially paid out until May of next year at the earliest, and terminates on May 31st, 2023, if otherwise not fulfilled. Any questions in regards to that? That's all we have. Thank you.
Thanks, Adam. All right, next up, department reports. Corporation Counsel, Mr. Hodson.
Report, please. Thank you.
Tammy, Becker Burge, consent to transfer.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that on the line?
No,
Okay. Bird sold the apartment project that it developed. And part of that development was a developer-backed bond in which the redevelopment commission financed some of the improvements. And one of the conditions of that sale is that bond be, and the developer bought its own bond, but it needs to assign those rights to the buyer. And to do that, they need your permission. From our standpoint, we get paid either way. There's really no reason to not approve this.
I'll move we approve the consent transfer.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Hoover, second by Mr. Moan, I think I heard.
Yes.
Any questions for Mr. Hodson? All right, hearing none, roll call.
Mr. Moan,
Aye.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Hopper,
Aye.
Mr. Hoover.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, consent to transfer of project and bonds approved 5-0. Thanks, Sam. Mr. Watson.
Nothing further today.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Wright.
Nothing for me.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Johnson.
Nothing for me.
Mr. Mayor.
Say nothing.
Not.
No one's here.
All right, nothing it is. Let's see. Next up, we'll have the claims docket in the amount of $1,944,328.15. Is there a motion to approve?
Make that motion.
Motion by Mr. Campbell, second by Mr. Harris. Any questions from commission members? Hearing none, roll call.
Mr. Campbell,
Aye.
Mr. Harris,
Aye.
Mr. Hopper,
Aye.
Mr. Hoover,
Aye.
Mr. Moan.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, claims docket is approved 5-0. Any other business before the commission? I have a quick one, only because I have something in the packet that we didn't talk about tonight. A second amendment to a contract with Midwestern Electric.
That is assignable for Daniel. You approved it at a previous meeting.
Okay,
It's just to be signed.
okay, no worries.
All of these, I should put a note on it.
Oh, there were, apparently I've signed it. No, that's something else. I signed it at least once before. It's the second amendment. All right, cool. I will sign that. And Mr. Harris and Mr. Hoover, I will probably drop the packet back off at the city center tonight. So it'll be there for signatures tomorrow at your leisure. Any other business for the commission? All right. Hearing none, sorry that I was late. Sorry that I'm virtual. Next meeting, hopefully I'll be fine. I don't plan on going to any meetings in person ever again at work. They'll all be by Teams. That way I don't have to be in a room with anybody who may have COVID, which is odd because we all wear masks and we stay at home if we're all masked in the schoolroom if somebody gets COVID now. But apparently, if you work at the Department of Health, they want you to stay away. Not so much for me, but everybody else apparently. All right. Seeing nothing else, we'll stand adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
David.
Have a good week.